Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, where we bridge the worlds of the taboo topic of money with the woo-woo world of manifestation. We're your hosts, Chris and Jenny Schulz.
We're not just about dollars and cents around here. We're all about lifestyle design. You can be working towards financial independence while still living a life you love today.
Get ready for insightful conversations with guests who have embraced the FIRE movement by achieving financial independence and retiring early, as well as entrepreneurs and individuals who defied the norm and have paved their own way to a life they love.
Together, we'll explore the powerful connection between mindset, financial freedom, and living a purposeful life. And of course, we'll be sharing our own journey to how we carved our path to a seven-figure net worth before hitting the big 4-0. Are you ready to ignite your financial future? Then let's dive right in.
Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, where your journey to financial independence and the life you love begins now. My driving school business turns 20 years old in November of 2023, and I wanted to share some pieces of the journey as a way of introducing myself. You will hear me touch on how failures produce successes, utilizing a partner, the importance of a coach, and how it's important to celebrate even the smallest of what I refer to as yes moments. And because both Jenny and I can be quirky, I'm giving you the heads up to listen for the driving metaphors. Points may be awarded at the end of the podcast if you catch them all. I want to share this as part of what led Jenny and I into the FIRE movement, because I think it's important to note that everyone who carves their own path does it uniquely. You are not me, nor Jenny, but if you're wanting to carve your own niche, picking up any little pieces that you add to your ongoing portfolio of life can make all the difference in the world. I also want to note that both Jenny and I have different passions, and one thing that feeds mine is entrepreneurship. In my solo podcasts, you will hear many different stories of how people are choosing their own adventures. The world is wide, and the paths we make for ourselves are as diverse as you can dream. So let's dig in, shall we? I started a business at the ripe old age of 24. I had no previous experience as a business owner, nor post-secondary business schooling or training, but I had come from a background of working hard even from a very young age. I did have some experience in working for other people, in the sense that I hired myself out as a teenager to do odd jobs, and I had even hired friends to work with me. I had worked as a page in a library, and for two small companies that were manned by one or two owners, plus the driving school. I often found myself creating efficiencies in the business I worked for, and in the process making less money because I was paid by the hour. There wasn't ever recognition for doing a better job, and frankly, as I'm sure most of you can relate to, only criticism if your day wasn't perfect. I yearned for more. I was lucky to have one really great employer who I liked and respected, and to this day, I still occasionally talk to him and appreciate his insight. Outside of this, what I had in spades was an inner drive to pave my own way. In the situation I found myself, I had lost my job working for a driving school, albeit in a city where the demand was clearly there. It was clear that there was a lot of mismanagement occurring. I had had 3 different bosses over the course of less than 3 years as the company kept changing hands. Except for a brief spell, my actual employers did not live or work in the same city as me. I would meet with my actual boss a couple of times a year, and my manager was the only other employee in the local franchise. I want to say that there were certainly some lessons I was learning here, mostly about businesses, about how businesses could flourish, or not, but also in the sense of how systems played a part in the efficiency of a business and in how employees were treated. Jenny and I will dedicate time to systems in other podcasts, as we believe it's a huge factor in becoming successful. I had other jobs prior to this, and one thing I constantly noted was what made me feel great as an employee and what did not. If you're an employer, you need employees, and there's certainly a right and wrong way to treat them. In the modern landscape post-COVID, that has never been more clear. I remember feeling shocked at losing my job. We were overwhelmingly busy. Losing a job can be really difficult, and it can be easy to blame yourself. Despite not being at fault, you can feel failure. I remember going home and calling my parents to tell them how shocked I felt, and in the same conversation voicing that I wanted to start my own company. And they were supportive. Sometimes I think that what served me greatly as a new business owner was that ignorance is bliss. I say that laughingly, but something my business coach always said was that you don't know what you don't know. It is and was a great piece of advice because it allowed me to not only not punish myself for making an error, but to open myself up to learning a new way of doing something. And ultimately, it was a great way of creating possibilities. My parents lent me the seed money to start my company. My dad helped me write up a business plan, helped me shop for a car, and sat in a meeting with me to find an accountant. As a side note, good choice. They're still my accountants to this day. I enrolled in a provincial program that, simply put, allowed me to be paid EI for the first year while I got my feet, or wheels as it were, in front of me, in exchange for me writing up a detailed business plan and taking a month's worth of business courses. The program also provided a full year of check-ins and check-ups. This was a super cool platform. Years later, I became a member of the board that approved business plans for new entrepreneurs and have great memories of seeing behind the scenes of how the program functioned. If you're considering your own startup, have you looked into community, provincial, state, or federal grants? Maybe you're missing out on funding that could greatly benefit your ability to get started. If I told you that the first year of business was easy, I would be lying through my teeth. It absolutely bordered on brutal at times. My mom and I often say, why are the hard lessons always expensive? Expensive lessons don't have to just be financial, they can be emotional too. The hardness of working for myself didn't change much in the first few years, and actually it was evident that I was doing something correctly because I hired an employee within the first year and let them go not long after as they weren't the right fit. Was that a success or a failure, you might ask? At the time, I remember it being absolutely agonizing. Without my business coach, I might have let that person stymie my dreams because of misplaced loyalty. The second person I hired also taught me many lessons. You can read into that comment what you will. But the third person I hired works for me to this day. A couple of failures that led to success. I share this as a way of showing you all that you need to be true to your convictions and/or the rules and procedures you create. You need to be very clear in what it is precisely you want to do, create, and what your motivations are. I would say this can align with what Jenny says about manifestation. You need to be very clear in your goals and what the outcomes truly look like, whether they be personal, business, recreational, or other. And you have to be open to acting when things don't work out right or don't align, even if that comes at a financial or emotional cost in the short term. I promise you this, if you don't act on what is not working for you, it will only cost more in the long term, both financially and emotionally. Part of what Jenny and I focus on in this podcast is utilizing your partner in your big dreams. For those of you listening who hear that and don't have a current partner, hear me out. While we focus on couples in the FIRE movement, we also want to be clear that a partner could be a business partner or an accountability buddy or even someone who you really connect with. Having someone in your corner as you navigate building your FIRE is super important. And if you don't have anyone, Jenny and I can be your partner. We're here to share what can work for you and light a fire in your belly or under your butt. Personally, Jenny has listened to me wander down many dead ends, but she's also been there to dig me out of ditches or accelerated me onto a superhighway. I cannot stress enough that a sounding board for support, communication, validating feelings, and problem solving is a huge deal as you move into and navigate your personal FIRE. On the subject of a partner, I'd like to also share the importance of coaching. I've worked extensively with a coach, as has Jenny, and on my end, I'm currently enrolled in a coaching certification process. I met my coach at a trade show within the first year of my business. In all honesty, when she took me on as a client, I think it was a labor of love. At this juncture in my life, and after attending coaching classes, I am very aware of what a raw young man I was. I had a lot to prove, a lot to give, and a whole toolbox of tools that not only did I not know how to use, but often I didn't even know they existed. If you're old enough, think back to the first time you used or saw a smartphone in action. In 2010, I visited a friend in London, England, and she navigated where we were going using a map on her iPhone. To this day, as a man with a bare sense of direction, holding a supercomputer in my hand that does everything, my mind has never been more blown than being able to get from A to B in such a simple fashion. And that's a great analogy for being coached. I promise, you have all the answers, but a little guidance to get you into or out of your head and to see a different perspective is really quite amazing. For me personally, I really needed someone to allow me to see what I viewed as my weaknesses were actually strengths. This particular coach also mentored me in business, and that was extremely helpful. So remember, you can look outside the box for your partner. To end today, I want to move into your personal goals or dreams and how you can acknowledge yourself as you achieve them. I personally know many people who set goals and when they achieve them, just set more goals. Prepping for this podcast, I read a great quote today by Chris Willix. It said, "The dangerous thing about anticipation is it can cause us to look over the shoulder of the present moment to always see what's coming next, so we never actually experience what is happening right now." I want to not only give you permission, but to insist that if this is you, please celebrate achieving your goals. Thanks to my coach, I have a name for those moments. We call them yes moments. To visualize an actual yes moment, it's all caps and it has an exclamation mark at the end of the word. Yes! An easy way to share this with you is to talk about my day job. I'm self-employed, but my designation is that I am a driving instructor. I'm sure nearly all of you can relate to learning how to drive. Because many of us drive regularly, we often don't think about all the skills we learn to do it well. But I assure you, there's a lot going on. You're often working both feet, both arms and hands, and your observation skills are in overdrive. Factor in traffic, weather, technology, your busy brain, children in the back seats, and many other things, and it's actually quite an accomplishment to be able to do this well. When students pass their driving test, they are often overcome with relief and gratitude. As both a teacher and someone who loves affirmations, it is with gratitude that I accept a student saying I have taught them well. If the student was particularly challenging for whatever reason, I may allow myself a yes moment. But in this case, I usually try to acknowledge the student by saying something like, "I appreciate you had a great experience with me, but I can't take your test for you. You did the work. You put in the practice time. You conquered your nerves and you passed that test. Yes, that piece of paper shows you passed, but enjoy this moment today in the now. You only get your license the first time once. Give yourself a yes moment." So many times, students will actually stop in that moment, take a deep breath, and I can visually see a transformation take place. In today's fast-paced world, so many situations don't give us permission to be kind or celebratory to ourselves. A yes moment does not have to be a huge celebration, but it should at least be an acknowledgement to yourself you've achieved a goal or had a success in something you were striving for. Maybe you checked something off your goal poster, got a client you really wanted, figured out a more efficient way of doing something, hired a great person, restructured something in your business plan, you name it. Find a way to celebrate your yes moments that really deeply resonates with you. Is it buying your favorite beverage and having a quiet moment to yourself? Is it meditating and feeling calm? Is it fist pumping and feeling the fire? Is it dinner with your friend or your partner? Is it playing with your favorite pet? Is it something really big like a trip or an event? There are certainly different levels of yes moments, but what I am getting at is you need to celebrate your success to move to the next one. You need to stand in that moment and let it wash over you. And I say need because when something gets you down, it makes it easier to refer to what got you this far. We all have our moments of no, and we need to celebrate the yes. So choose your own yes celebratory moments. Make them count. I hope I'm leaving you with some insights into who I am and who we are at Playing with Fire. But more importantly, I hope I'm planting a seed to celebrate yourself. But since I'm here, I'm going to take a moment and give each of you a yes for coming along for the ride. I hope your fire burns hot today. I hope you feel it in your heart or your tummy or even under your butt. Take care, and we will talk to you again. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Manifestation and Money podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation and want to continue your journey to financial empowerment and creating a life you love, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review.
Come follow us on Instagram at Manifestation and Money Podcast or at 4Leaf Lifestyle for more inspiration and behind the scenes content. Remember, your life is yours to live. Your financial freedom journey is as unique as you are. So hop in the driver's seat. It's time to create the life of your dreams.